You have me for 30 nights. No touching unless I allow it. No questions. No feelings. Her voice was calm, almost too calm for someone standing in the middle of Lagos' most expensive penthouse. She looked straight into his eyes, not blinking, not shifting. The moment held too much silence. It weighed heavy between them. Martins Okoye, the billionaire CEO of Okoye Group of Companies, leaned back on the white leather couch and chuckled, but it wasn't from amusement. It was confusion. Maybe irritation. Maybe fascination. Do you talk to all your clients like that? He asked, swirling the glass of wine in his hand. V didn't smile. Her face remained stiff, serious. Only the ones who try to make me comfortable with their fake charm. Let's get one thing straight, Mr. Okoye, this is not a love story. Martins tilted his head, intrigued now. There was something about this girl. She wasn't like the others. Most girls walked in giggling, trying to impress, trying to please. Not her. She was bold. Too bold. He studied her, about 22, tall, skin the color of fresh honey, long braided hair that hung over one shoulder like a whisper. Her black dress hugged her body like it had been stitched for sin. But there was no joy in her eyes. No flirtation. Just something cold. Calculated. You always come in with attitude. Martins asked, standing up and walking slowly toward her. Because I paid for service, not sass. She stepped back, raising a finger. And I gave you my terms. You paid for 30 days of my presence, not ownership. You want fake love, go on Instagram. Martins laughed again, this time genuinely. She had guts. He liked guts. So what do you want from me then? Respect. No, she said, voice calm. Just silence. She placed a small black bag on the edge of the bed in the guest room. Refused the master room, even though he offered it. Said she preferred her own corner. He found that strange. Most girls jumped at the master suite. Mirrors, silk sheets, jacuzzi. V didn't even glance twice. Over dinner, he tried again. What's your real name? She didn't look up from her plate. Don't do that. Do what? Try to know me. Martin scoffed, throwing his napkin on the table. You think you're so mysterious. Everyone has a story. She raised her eyes, slow and sharp. And not everyone wants to tell it. Something about her made him want to unravel her. Not for sex. No, that wasn't it. He could have 10 girls by tomorrow morning if he wanted. V was different. She sat like someone with a secret. Like someone who didn't belong in this world but chose to walk in anyway. He peeked into the living room around midnight. She was still awake, sitting cross-legged on the couch in a large t-shirt, flipping through a book titled 1,000 Cries. He didn't know people still read paperbacks. She didn't notice him, or maybe she did and didn't care. Don't you sleep? He asked from the hallway. She didn't look up. I sleep when I feel safe. Martins blinked. You're in a guarded penthouse 40 floors above ground. You are safe. She finally turned to him. Security doesn't make people safe. It just makes danger harder to see. That night, he couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure her out. By the third morning, V had completely taken over his kitchen. His private chef wasn't needed anymore. He walked into the dining room expecting eggs and toast. Instead, he was hit with the aroma of native jollof, plantain, and fried goat meat. She didn't ask what he liked, just made what she wanted. He sat down, unsure whether to be impressed or annoyed. You know, this isn't part of your job description. Neither is your attitude, she muttered, scooping food onto a plate for him. But I'm managing. For some reason, he laughed again. Loud and free this time. She reminded him of someone. That sharp tongue. That fierce presence. He couldn't place it. On the 5th night, V stood by the penthouse window, gazing down at the city lights. You always stare out there. Martins asked, joining her. Sometimes, she said. I like looking at things I can't control. Reminds me that life is bigger than pain. Martins raised a brow. Who said anything about pain? She turned slowly, eyes darker than usual. I didn't say it was mine. He looked at her for a moment. What are you, really? She gave a soft, empty smile. A consequence. Over the next few days, Martins noticed things. As she avoided alcohol. As she didn't like loud music. As she flinched at phone calls. As she always watched him like she was studying him. One evening, she asked a simple question. Were you ever in a village called Aguda? His heart froze mid-beat. He hadn't heard that name in over 2 decades. The question came so gently, so casually, like a whisper carried by wind, but it hit like thunder. Why? He asked, carefully. Just curious, she said, and walked away. Martins didn't sleep that night. He stood in his home office, digging through old photos. He hadn't thought of that village since he left his teenage life behind. Since Nkechi. Since that day. He pulled out an old picture, young Martins, arm around a teenage girl, her belly slightly swollen. He sat down slowly, heart racing. Why did that girl's eyes look just like? He shook his head. No. It can't be. But the thought refused to leave. Martins sat on the cold floor of her room long after she left. The photo trembled in his hand. Veronica. 2003. How? Why? Everything was upside down now. This wasn't a 1-month arrangement with a sex worker. This was a confrontation 22 years in the making. The image was old but clear. Nkechi's face was unmistakable. Younger, softer, but her eyes held that same sadness. The baby in her arms, barely months old, had Martins' nose. His mouth. There was no room for doubt. V wasn't a stranger. She was blood. His daughter. His child. The one they told him had died. And now, he had brought her into his home, paid her like a transaction, stared at her body, judged her without knowing her truth. He felt sick. He didn't sleep that night. Just sat on the edge of his bed, fists clenched, heart heavy. Every memory came flooding back. Nkechi's laughter. Her pregnancy. His cowardice. He had left her to face it alone. His rich Lagos family didn't want a village girl tainting their son's future. So they paid her off and told him the child died. And like the selfish boy he was, he believed them and moved on. Or so he thought. By sunrise, V was in the kitchen again, making akra and pap, moving calmly like nothing happened. He walked in, slowly. She didn't look at him. He cleared his throat. V. Silence. Veronica. She looked up, sharply this time. So now I'm Veronica, she said, pouring pap into a bowl. Yesterday I was just the girl you paid for the month. Today I'm a daughter. Her words were knives. But she didn't raise her voice. That made it worse. I didn't know, he whispered. That's the thing with men like you, she said. You never know. Until it's too late. Martins remembered the day his mother came into his room with red eyes. She lost the baby, she had said. He was stunned but also relieved in a way he hated himself for. He was just 19. A baby himself. But now, he could see it. They had lied. He was sent back to the UK before he could visit Aguda again. And for 22 years, Nkechi raised their daughter in silence. V sat at the table, slowly dipping her akra into the pap. Martins sat across from her, unsure how to start. You came here to destroy me, he asked, voice hoarse. She didn't answer. You planned all this. She wiped her mouth slowly. I needed to see the man who abandoned my mother. I needed to know what kind of man he turned out to be. His throat tightened. And? She leaned back, staring at him. You're rich. Powerful. Empty. Just like I expected. That stung more than a slap. I didn't know you were alive, he said. But you didn't care to ask. V finally spoke more that evening. She sat in the living room while Martins stood at the door, unsure if he was allowed to enter his own space. I started this because I wanted revenge, she said quietly. Not the poison or knife kind. The mental kind. He leaned against the wall. I wanted you to fall for me a little, she continued. Want me, need me, so that when the truth came out, you'd feel disgusted with yourself. He winced. But then, you didn't touch me. You didn't even try. I wanted to, he confessed. V looked at him. I know. Martins sat down, slowly. I'm sorry, he whispered. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I needed to say it. She tilted her head. Do you even remember her voice? My mother's voice. He hesitated. No, he said truthfully. V nodded. That's what hurts most. I can fix things, he said quickly. I can do something. Anything. She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Money can't fix this, Daddy. He froze. That word hit him like lightning. Don't call me that, she added, almost spitting it out. You don't deserve it. That night, Martins asked her one question. What happened to your mother? V looked at him for a long time. She died 2 years ago. Cervical cancer. No money for treatment. Government hospital treated her like trash. He looked away, blinking fast. She cried for you before she died, V continued. Kept saying, maybe Martins will come. Maybe he'll help us. She never even hated you. Isn't that sick? He wiped his face. I'm so sorry. She was buried behind our compound. You'll never see her grave. He nodded silently. He deserved that. The next morning, he transferred 50 million naira into her account. She rejected it. This wasn't about money, she said. I just wanted to look into your eyes and break whatever fantasy you had of your past. Martins fell to his knees. I failed you, he said. Let me try now. I don't want to be your daughter, she whispered. But you are. Biologically, she nodded. Not emotionally. Not in any way that matters. And with that, she turned and walked out of the penthouse. Martins was left standing in the middle of his luxury home, surrounded by silence louder than anything he had ever known. But one thing was clear. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The road to Aguda hadn't changed much. Same narrow, dusty paths. Same low trees lining the sides like tired old guards. The same children running barefoot after cake. The same smells of roasted corn, diesel, and distant palm wine. But Martins had changed. He wasn't the 19-year-old rich kid anymore. He was older now. Slower. And weighed down by shame so thick, he could barely breathe. His driver turned to him as they neared the junction. Sir, are we going straight into the village? Martins nodded. Yes. I need to see where she lived. Where they buried her. When he stepped out of the car, the villagers stared. They recognized him, somehow. Time hadn't erased his face from the stories. Or maybe it was the way he walked. Or the guilt in his eyes. Old women whispered. Children paused. Men looked away. The compound was still there, faded but standing. Cracks in the walls. A broken wooden door. A blue wrapper hanging on the line, untouched by wind. Nkechi lived here, he whispered. A neighbor stepped out of her hut and gasped. Jesu. Martins Okoye. He nodded weakly. The woman's face hardened. So you finally came, after she died. She led him behind the compound. Under a mango tree was a small mound of earth. No headstone. Just a bottle of dry gin standing beside a rusted lantern. 2 sticks tied in a cross. The woman said, she used to sit under this tree every evening. Said she liked to feel close to God here. Martins knelt down. For the first time in 2 decades, he let tears fall. I'm sorry, Nkechi, he whispered. I'm sorry I left. I was a coward. You didn't deserve that life. The tree didn't answer. But the breeze blew softly, like forgiveness. The neighbor, Mama Adana, brought out a worn notebook. She used to write in this. She said if anything happened to her, someone should find her daughter. She called her my bright one. Martins opened the notebook. Page after page, Nkechi had written memories, thoughts, poems, and prayers. All for Veronica. If God is real, please let her meet someone who won't fail her the way her father did. I don't want her to hate him. I just want her to be better than the pain we gave her. Martins closed the book and held it to his chest. That night, he stayed in a guest house nearby. Sleep wouldn't come. He stared at the ceiling, remembering her voice, the way she used to laugh at his bad jokes, the way she blushed when he touched her hand. He remembered her pregnant belly, the way she cried when he left, and how she begged him not to forget her. He had. He forgot her, until it was too late. At 2:17 a.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. He picked up. Hello. Her voice was calm. Did you find her grave? V, he whispered. I knew you'd go, she said. I left clues. Martins swallowed hard. She wrote about you. She never stopped loving you. Or me. Silence. I miss her every day, V finally said. I want to get to know you, he said gently. Not as some billionaire. Not even as your father. Just as a man who regrets what he did and wants to be better. I'll think about it, she said. And hung up. 2 days later, Martins returned to Lagos. But something in him had shifted. The boardroom didn't excite him. The penthouse felt hollow. The stock market was background noise. He sat at his massive desk and stared at a framed picture, one he had printed from the photo in her bag. Nkechi and baby Veronica. He touched the frame gently. Then picked up his phone. He called his lawyer. I want to update my will, he said. Put my daughter's name on it. You have a daughter, sir? Yes. Her name is Veronica. She's not a secret anymore. A week later, V called. I'll meet you, she said. But not at your house. Come to Ilopeju. There's a place my mum used to love, Mama SSI's amla joint. He agreed instantly. When he got there, she was already seated. No makeup. Ankara scarf. Just a bottle of water and a plate of ogyuf. She pushed a chair toward him. He sat, humbled. You're not what I expected, she said quietly. Not anymore. I was worse before, he said. You brought the truth out. She picked at her meat, then looked up. I don't forgive you yet. I understand. But I'm willing to try. As the amla joint buzzed around them with loud Yoruba music and laughter, Martins and V sat quietly. Two broken people trying to rebuild a bridge made of ashes. It would take time. But at least now, they weren't strangers anymore. Are you ready for this? Martins looked at her from across the car's back seat. Veronica wore a black jumpsuit, small gold hoop earrings, and no makeup. Her natural hair was in a tight bun. Simple. Elegant. Powerful. She looked every bit like his daughter. But more importantly, she looked like someone who no longer wanted to be invisible. I've been ready for years, she replied. The driver pulled up in front of Okoye Global Towers, a 27-floor skyscraper in Victoria Island that Martins built from the ground up. Today, for the first time in the company's history, he was walking in with his daughter. When they stepped out of the car, heads turned. The security men saluted. The receptionist did a double take. Even the elevator attendant stammered. Good morning, sir. And, Ma. Martins simply said, She's with me. As the elevator ascended to the executive floor, V looked around. This is what the other version of my life might have looked like, she whispered. Martins heard the sadness in her voice but said nothing. He knew this moment wasn't about him. It was about her. They stepped into the glass-walled boardroom. His top managers were already seated, men and women in tailored suits, holding iPads, whispering. The whispers stopped when Martins entered with V. Good morning, he said. This is Veronica. She's my daughter. Dead silence. Veronica smiled politely. Martins continued. I've wronged her in the past, but that ends today. She'll be joining the company's leadership mentorship program, effective immediately. A few raised eyebrows. A few hidden smirks. One man, Toby, his trusted COO, cleared his throat. With all due respect, sir, is she qualified? V answered before Martins could. I have a first-class degree in marketing from UNN, she said calmly. I've built and managed 3 online businesses, trained over 200 women in digital sales, and survived things most of you couldn't imagine. I'm qualified to breathe this air. The room went silent again. Then someone clapped. Then 2. Then all. Martins didn't say anything. He just smiled. After the meeting, he took her shopping. She hesitated at first, but he insisted. They walked into Alara, one of Lagos' most luxurious fashion stores. This is too much, she muttered as she tried on a blazer worth £500,000. You deserve more, Martins said. You've always deserved more. She stared at herself in the mirror. For once, she didn't look like a survivor. She looked like a daughter reclaiming a stolen birthright. That night, she moved out of her shared mini-flat in Yaba. She told her roommates she was going away for a while. They asked if it was a sugar daddy situation. No, she said. It's a father situation. The real one. The next morning, she woke up in Martin's guest room. Soft bed. Egyptian cotton sheets. Peace. Her inbox had a new email. From Nkechi. Subject, in case he ever finds you. It was a scheduled email. Her mother must have written it years ago, set it to send someday. Maybe through a service. Or maybe V had triggered something in her mom's old account while clearing files. The email read, "My bright one. If you're reading this, then the universe has brought you and your father together again. Forgive only when you're ready. Love only when it doesn't hurt. And always, always remember, your worth is not determined by who walked away. It's built by who you choose to become. With all my heart. Mama." V cried softly that morning. Later that week, V sat at her usual cafe, scribbling notes on a business plan she wanted to pitch to Martins. She didn't hear him walk in. He placed a cup of cappuccino beside her. "Morning," he said. "You're late," she teased. "I brought backup." He handed her a small box. Inside was a silver necklace. One word carved on the pendant, "Daughter." She didn't cry this time, but she reached out and held his hand for the first time. Later that evening, Martins posted a photo of them on Instagram, the first photo he ever posted that wasn't business-related. Caption: "Some mistakes take a lifetime to fix. But I'm glad she gave me the chance. Meet Veronica, my daughter." And the internet? Oh, it exploded. Breaking: Billionaire CEO reveals daughter from ex-sex worker. That headline was everywhere. On blogs. On gossip pages. On news tickers under evening broadcasts. Within hours, Veronica's face was on every Nigerian blog from Lagos to London. They didn't care that she was smart, or how far she'd come. All they cared about was one detail. Her mother used to be a sex worker. Her Instagram tripled in followers overnight. DMs flooded in. Some kind. "Your story gave me hope. Thank you for showing us it's possible." But many were cruel. "Runs girl, we make it to penthouse. So na Ashawo piking day, enjoy private jet now. No matter how you polish 'em, garbage na garbage." Veronica tried to stay strong. She knew the internet had no conscience. But reading those comments still hurt. At the office the next day, some of the staff avoided her. Some whispered when she passed. In a meeting, one senior exec, Mrs. Ease, smiled with poison in her voice. "So, Veronica, since your background is, unconventional, do you think clients will take you seriously?" V stared at her. Martin shifted in his seat, ready to speak. But V raised her hand. She wanted to answer. "My mother's background doesn't reduce my intelligence," she said calmly. "It doesn't take away my skills. If anything, it makes me stronger. She survived more than you can imagine. So I'm not ashamed." The room was silent. Then someone clapped. Then another. By the end of the meeting, even Mrs. Ease had to lower her eyes. But it wasn't over. 3 days later, a new headline hit the blogs. CEO's mystery daughter allegedly inherits shares, old son furious. Martin's estranged son, Raymond, from a brief affair 15 years ago, had returned. He hadn't spoken to Martins in years. But now, he was calling lawyers. Martin's doorbell rang late that night. He opened it, and there he was, Raymond Okoye, tall, angry, dressed in Gucci and entitlement. "You're joking, right?" Raymond spat. "You gave shares to her? A runs girl's child." Martins closed the door halfway, keeping his voice low. "Watch your mouth. That's your sister." Raymond laughed bitterly. "My what? I don't know her. I don't want to know her. All I see is a mistake you're trying to turn into a trophy." Veronica appeared behind Martins in a t-shirt and wrapper. Raymond stared at her. You're the one taking what's mine." V raised her chin. "I'm not taking anything. I'm earning it." Raymond scoffed. "Don't get comfortable. This spotlight won't last." And he stormed off. Later that night, V sat in Martin's study, sipping Zobo. "You never told me about Raymond." Martins looked tired. "There's a lot I never told you. I was never a good father. Not to you. Not to him either. Is he right to be angry?" Martins nodded. Yes. But he's wrong to hate you. You didn't steal anything. I gave you what's yours. She stared at him. You think we'll ever be a real family? Martins smiled faintly. We are already trying. That's more than I ever did before. V posted a video the next day. Just her, in a simple room, facing the camera. She said, "My name is Veronica. My mother was a sex worker. She did what she had to do so I could eat. So I could learn. So I could grow. If that makes me unworthy in your eyes, then I suggest you clean your lens. Because your judgment says more about you than it does about me." The video went viral. Suddenly, she was not just a CEO's secret daughter. She was a voice. An email came from TDX Lagos. They wanted her to give a talk on overcoming stigma. She read it twice. Then called her father. "You think I can do this?" Martins didn't even hesitate. The world's been waiting to hear from someone like you. 2 weeks later, Veronica stood on the red circle. She looked around the crowd, young, old, rich, poor. And she spoke. "My name is Veronica. My mother was a sex worker. My father was a billionaire who didn't know I existed. I lived in broken rooms and survived broken dreams. But I am not my mother's past. I am not my father's silence. I am what I choose to become." Thunderous applause. No dry eyes. That day, she wasn't just Martin's daughter. She was Veronica. Full stop. Backstage after her talk, she got a message. "We need to talk. There's something else I haven't told you." "Dad." She stared at the screen, heart pounding. What else could there be? "There's something else I haven't told you." The message from Martins read, "Come to the house. Come alone." Veronica held the phone for a long moment. Her TDX talk had gone viral. Her Instagram had exploded. Her inbox was full of speaking invitations. For the first time in her life, she felt seen. Now, her father, this man who once paid her thinking she was just a night companion, had one more truth to drop. She got in an Uber and stared out the window the whole way. Whatever this was, it felt big. She walked into the mansion. Martins was seated by the fireplace, a glass of red wine in his hand, untouched. He looked up when she entered. He looked older, more tired. "Sit," he said softly. She did. "What is it?" Martins rubbed his hands together and sighed. "I need to tell you about Adana." V frowned. "Who's Adana?" He paused. "She's your mother's sister. Your auntie. And she was the first woman I ever loved." Martins began the story. "Back then, I was just a struggling engineering student in London. Your auntie Adana was everything I wasn't. Confident, focused, street smart. We fell in love quickly. She helped me survive. Gave me food. Even let me stay in her flat when I couldn't afford rent. But I made a mistake. I cheated on her, with a woman I barely knew. That woman turned out to be your mother." Veronica's eyes widened. "Wait. You're saying, you cheated on my auntie, with my mum?" Martins nodded, shame in his eyes. "I didn't know she was her sister. I didn't even know your mum by name then. It was just one night. When Adana found out, she was devastated. She left me. Cut all ties. Left London entirely. I only heard years later that she moved to Ghana, then back to Nigeria." V was silent. Martins continued. "I didn't know your mother got pregnant. I didn't know you existed, until the day you walked into that hotel room." Veronica leaned back, eyes wide. She remembered a woman her mum once mentioned, Auntie Addie, who used to send money sometimes but disappeared after a big fight. That was her. Her mother's sister? Her father's ex? So much pain. So many crossed wires. And now? Where is she now? V asked. Martins looked away. "She's dying." The next day, they flew to Enugu. Adana was in a private hospital, battling late-stage cancer. When Veronica stepped into the room, the woman turned slowly. She looked thin. Her hair was gone. But her eyes, they looked like her mum's. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice weak. Martins stepped in behind her. "She's Nkechi's daughter." Adana stared. Then, her lips trembled. She found you. Veronica nodded slowly. And I found both of you. Broken heart, I was angry. But I should have helped. Tears streamed down Adana's face. I blamed Nkechi for everything. I told her she destroyed my life. I didn't even ask what happened after. I didn't know she had a child. She reached for V's hand. I'm sorry. You deserved better. Your mother deserved better. V squeezed her hand gently. She's gone now. But I think, hearing you say that, it would have meant everything to her. Adana smiled weakly. She was always stronger than me. Before they left, the doctor handed V an envelope. Adana left this with us weeks ago, in case she never saw you. Inside was a letter. To my sister's child. If the universe ever brings us back together, know this, I was wrong to walk away. I should have come looking for you. For her. But I let pain make me cold. I hope you forgive me. I've left you my Lagos apartment and the NGO I started, Daughters of Hope. I built it for women like your mother. Women like you. Take it. Grow it. Make it beautiful. Adana. Back in Lagos, Veronica sat with Martins. I want to run her NGO, she said. Martins nodded. I thought you would. She smiled faintly. But not just run it. I want to partner with Okoye Global. Use your resources. Your reach. Help more women like Mama. He smiled. You're thinking like a real CEO now. She raised an eyebrow. More like a CEO with a cause. They clinked their glasses of orange juice. A silent toast to second chances. That night, Veronica lay in bed scrolling through old photos on her mum's phone, now hers. She zoomed in on one picture, her mum and a young Adana, arms around each other, bright smiles, before life broke them apart. She whispered into the quiet. I'm going to fix everything you two lost. I promise. This is war, Dad. And she better be ready. That was Raymond's last text to Martins. It came 2 days after Adana's funeral and barely a week after Veronica launched a campaign under Daughters of Hope, her new NGO for single mothers, young girls, and women who'd survived abuse or sex work. The campaign had gone viral. But not everyone was clapping. Raymond, Martin's firstborn son, the one who had always been hidden, ignored, or forgotten, was back. And this time, he came with lawyers, TV interviews, and court papers. It landed on Martin's desk with a loud thud. Notice of legal challenge. Raymond Okoye hereby contests the legality of Ms. Veronica Nkechi Okoye's inheritance, citing lack of paternity confirmation, undue influence, and emotional manipulation. Veronica stood there, mouth slightly open. He wants a DNA test. Martins rubbed his forehead. I already did one after I found out you were mine. It's valid. But he's making this public. Martins nodded. And dragging your name with it. Raymond sat in a crisp suit on Evening View Live, one of Nigeria's top talk shows. Host, why challenge this now, Mr. Okoye? Raymond, because I deserve my seat at the table. I've been quiet for years. Now someone shows up, claims Daddy's heart, and shares. No, Ma. Let's do this right. Host, you're saying you believe Veronica doesn't deserve the shares. Raymond laughs. I'm saying the world needs to ask who she really is. How she got here. She used to sell her body. How does that qualify her for boardroom decisions? Twitter, X, TikTok, and Instagram exploded. Hashtags like hashtag Veronica vs Raymond and hashtag Martin's Family War were trending globally. People took sides. She earned her spot. Leave her alone. She's just another runs girl who lucked out. Raymond is bitter. He was never there. Veronica is hiding something. Why is she always soft-spoken like she has guilt? It was getting nasty. That night, V sat in her room, staring at her reflection in the mirror. She didn't want to fight her own blood. But this? This was bigger than pride. It was about dignity. About legacy. She picked up her phone and called her father. We need to hit back, but not like them. How do you mean? Martins asked. We don't go to court. We go to the people. The next morning, Veronica posted a video. It was raw. Unpolished. Just her, sitting on a worn couch at the Daughters of Hope shelter. They say I don't deserve to be here. They say my past is too dirty. But my mother's pain paid for my survival. I walk through the same streets people look down on, and I built something from it. Raymond thinks legacy is about shares. I think it's about impact. I was once paid to smile when I wanted to cry. I wore makeup to hide hunger. I stood in silence while rich men like my father passed me by. But not anymore. The video hit 10 million views in 3 days. People started digging into his past. Turns out, Raymond had dropped out of 3 universities, started 2 businesses, both collapsed, had been arrested once in Spain for a club fight, and never done one single charity project or mentorship. The court of public opinion turned. Suddenly, Raymond's charm looked like ego. And Veronica's story? It felt like truth. Raymond's lawyer called for an emergency hearing. But when they got to court, the judge said something unexpected. Mr. Okoye, your father has the right to assign his shares to anyone he deems fit. As for Ms. Veronica, the DNA test submitted 6 months ago confirms paternity. Unless you can prove forgery or foul play, this case has no grounds to stand. Raymond's jaw tightened. His lawyer whispered, "Let it go." But Raymond wasn't done. That evening, Raymond released a voice note. In it, a woman claimed she used to know Veronica from the streets. "I remember her. She day work with me for hotel. N.A. that same girl. She used to do things for big men. I know wedding I see." The internet went wild. Was this woman telling the truth? Or was she planted? Veronica refused to respond. But someone else did. He was the traitor. On the drive was also an audio recording. Tamiwa's voice was clear. "Raymond, relax. We are almost there. Just keep putting pressure on social media. The board members are getting nervous. Another 2 weeks, and she'll be gone. Once she resigns, Martins will hand things over to you by default. He has no one else." Veronica closed the file. Her fingers trembled. Not from fear. From anger. That night, she walked into her father's study. He looked up, worried. "Are you okay?" "No," she said, dropping the flash drive on his desk. "But you will be, after you watch this." Martins watched the footage in silence. His jaw tightened. His fingers curled into fists. When the video ended, he took a deep breath. "Tamiwa has worked with me for 14 years. Veronica nodded. "And for how many of those years has he been working against you?" The next morning, Martins called for a private meeting with the core board members. No aides. No distractions. No press. He played the video for all of them. Gasps echoed around the table. Board member 1. "So all this chaos was orchestrated." Board member 2. "And he thought we wouldn't find out." Veronica didn't say a word. She simply watched their reactions. Her mother had always said, "The truth doesn't shout. It just stands." Tamiwa was fired on the spot, and blacklisted from every major firm in Lagos. Over the next few days, Veronica helped her father reorganize the leadership structure at Okoye Global, install an independent legal team to review all high-level decisions, host a press conference to publicly clear her name, defend the women in Daughters of Hope, and condemn the betrayal from within. When Martins stepped to the MIC, flanked by Veronica, he said, "I am not just acknowledging my daughter. I am entrusting her with a legacy. What some see as shame in her past, I see as strength in her present." The applause was thunderous. Even Raymond, watching from home, could only stare. 2 weeks later, a brown box arrived at Veronica's office. No name. No label. Inside was a gold-plated envelope. She opened it. Inside, a letter. Asterisk to the one who won, fair and square. "I won't apologize, because we both played our game. You just played it better. For what it's worth, I hope you use what you've gained to do more than save your image. Do something real. Ah." Asterisk. She smiled faintly. It wasn't peace. But it was closure. Veronica walked into the Daughters of Hope Center the next morning in jeans and sneakers. The girls there screamed when they saw her. Big V. Auntie CEO. Madam Motivation. She laughed. She sat with them, no makeup, no cameras, and told them what her mum used to tell her. The world can strip you naked. But if you carry your dignity in your heart, No man can take it away. One of the girls, small and shy, came up to her. Her name was Oying. She was 15. Oying whispered, "I want to learn to speak like you. I want to be like you." Veronica knelt in front of her and smiled. "You'll be better than me. You won't have to fight like I did. That's the point." She hugged the girl tightly. And for the first time in years, Veronica felt safe. That evening, she sat by her mum's old grave, now freshly rebuilt with white tiles and soft flowers. She lit a candle and whispered, "Mama, I kept my promise." But as she stood to leave, her phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. A message popped up. "Not every family secret has been buried. Ask Martins about Chile, 1997. You deserve to know." Veronica's stomach sank. Just when she thought it was over. Ask Martins about Chile, 1997. The message stayed on Veronica's screen like a ghost. She stared at it long after the sender had gone offline. The number was untraceable. The tone was chilling. But what did it mean? She had heard of Chile only in history class. She had never been there. Why would something that happened nearly 30 years ago concern her? There was only one person who could answer that. She found Martins alone in the garden that evening. His glasses were off. He looked older than she remembered. "Daddy, what happened in Chile?" He froze. His shoulders tensed. Then he slowly turned to her. "I was hoping I'd never have to tell you." Martins had traveled to Chile as a young, ambitious businessman trying to expand Okoye exports. During that trip, he fell in love with a Nigerian-Chilean woman named Amara, vibrant, free-spirited, and intelligent. They were together for 3 months. But one day, Amara vanished. Her family told Martins she had died during childbirth, and that the child had died too. "I mourned her. I moved on. I never looked back." Veronica's eyes widened. "Wait, are you saying there might be another child?" Martins nodded slowly. "I didn't want to believe it. But now, maybe I was wrong." Veronica's mind was spinning. Another sibling? Another piece of the puzzle? That night, she called Sade again. "Do you know anything about Chile? Or someone named Amara?" Sade paused. "I don't. But your mother once told me that Martins wasn't her first love, only her second chance." That one sentence cracked something open inside Veronica. Could her father have abandoned a child before he even knew she existed? And more importantly, was that child now looking for her? A week later, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a DNA test and a photo. "My name is Emmanuel Diego Amara. I am your brother. I've known about you for 3 years, but I waited. I didn't want to bring chaos. I wanted peace." The photo showed a man in his late 20s. Mixed features. A kind smile. The test confirmed it. 99.98% match to Martins Okoye. Veronica sat down. She had a brother. A full brother. And he had been quietly watching her from afar. She video-called Emmanuel that night. He picked up immediately. He spoke softly, with a mix of Spanish and Nigerian pidgin. "You look like her," he said. "Our mother. You have her fire." Her eyes. Tears fell from Veronica's eyes before she could stop them. They talked for 2 hours. About growing up, about loss, about legacy. Then he said, "I don't want inheritance or money. I just want to know my family." Veronica nodded. "And you have one now." Martins met Emmanuel a week later. At first, they stood in silence. Then Martins broke down. "I failed you," he whispered. "I should have come back. I should have looked for you." Emmanuel didn't say much. He simply hugged his father. "Now you're here. That's enough." And for the first time in a long time, Martins Okoye, the mighty CEO, let himself cry. Veronica stood beside her father and new brother on a small stage during Daughters of Hope's anniversary event. The theme: reclaiming what was lost. She gave a powerful closing speech. Sometimes life writes the wrong story, and we spend years trying to rewrite it. But no matter how broken your beginning is, you still have the power to end beautifully. I was once called trash. I am now a trustee. And if I can reclaim my life, so can you. The audience stood. Tears. Cheers. Hope. 2 years later, Veronica became co-CEO of Okoye Global alongside her brother Emmanuel, now a humanitarian leader. Raymond started his own tech startup, stayed low, and found peace far away from spotlight. Martins retired quietly, often seen playing with children at Daughters of Hope, wearing simple slippers and no title. A best-selling memoir titled Born on the Streets, Crowned by Grace hit stores, written by Veronica. And at the front of the book, it read, "To my mother. For selling her dignity so I could live long enough to reclaim mine. My dearest gentle listener and viewer, this story was never just about a CEO, a sex worker, or a secret child. It was about how truth always finds its way home. About how no matter your past, you are not disqualified from greatness. About how family is messy, but love is real. And how one woman proved that being underestimated is just the beginning of being unstoppable."